Welcome back to another edition of Force Friday, where we talk about Star Wars theories, characters, concepts, comparisons, analyzations, collectibles, and more. And today we're going to be talking about something super fun, but super safe, and hopefully super interesting. Give you a little break from last week's heavier content. That's what I'm doing here. I got to break you down every once in a while to build you up even stronger again. Trust me, we'll all be better for it in the long run. But today we're going to talk about something fun, and we're going to talk about the Trandoshans. That's right. Your favorite reptilian friends seen in Empire, on Vader's Star Destroyer, as well as The Mandalorian as of late, and of course has made some appearances in the Clone Wars and what have you. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the character of Bossk, who was a Trandoshan, captivated me as a kid when I saw him standing with the other bounty hunters. He always seemed like the one with most personality to me, even above Boba Fett when I was a young lad. So let's talk about him a bit. What are they? They're a large, bipedal, reptilian, humanoid species from the jungle planet of Transdosha. A little bit on the nose, isn't it? They were also known as Tidashik in Dash, the name of their native language, which I want to go on record and say it's very possible that I butchered the entire pronunciation of all of that. In many ways, I'd rather read A Wrinkle in Time out loud in front of the class when I was in third grade than to ever try to pronounce any Star Wars name that I haven't heard spoken in a movie or show. They were capable of speaking clear, albeit somewhat animalistic, basic, which is what was once kind of English or the standard language in Star Wars. I'm not sure if that still holds up post-buyout. They're generally large, generally strong, but we have seen a variety of them, even to include the short and rotund. They're covered in scales, sunken eyes, sharp animalistic teeth, 3-digit clawed hands, and claw-like lizard feet, in my opinion. They generally travel barefoot, which makes me very concerned for how they deal with their lady friends. Can you imagine? You're a Transdoshan out there just making your way in the world. You finally meet a female Transdoshan. You're trying to set your life up together. You get her home and rub her feet, and it feels like you're rubbing on the back of a piece of Velcro that was run over by spiked tires. No thanks. But even in spite of all that, they're known to be extremely agile predators. They're also known to have a strong sense of smell and keen eyes, which helps in their predatory culture. They're also known to be rivals of the Wookiees in the Star Wars universe, and in spite of their strength, I think it's pretty common knowledge that they're nowhere near as strong. Now, one of the things that I don't think is quite clear now, post-Legends in the Disney era, is whether or not they have a regenerative ability. They were known to be able to regrow limbs such as arms and legs. The exact details of this are unknown in canon, but in Legends, they had the ability, albeit slowly, and it was known to be something that they lost as they reach middle age, just like we all start to lose some of our abilities as we reach older age. Their colors can vary widely. Yellowish green skin seems to be the default, but their skin colors have ranged from yellow, brown, orange, or red, sometimes with stripes. Culturally, they place a huge emphasis on hunting and they're natural predators, often living for the hunt. In many ways, they're almost kind of like the predators of the Star Wars universe. There's an episode that deals heavily with these themes inside of the Clone Wars. If you haven't seen it, it's worth a watch. They also have a strong history with the Wookiees of Kashyyyk, and the two species are known for basically hating one another. Their home planet of Trandosha was covered in thick jungles and was regarded as something of a hunter's paradise. It was in the same system as Kashyyyk and was observed to have at least one moon, Waska. In regard to my pronunciation, please rewind the video. Now, in Legends, the Trandoshans worshipped a deity known as the Scorekeeper, who would add up points obtained throughout their lives. This led to many Trandoshan becoming bounty hunters, assassins, mercenaries, or slavers. The most prominent appearance of Trandoshans in canon is the Clone Wars Season 3 finale, Padawan Lost, and Wookiee Hunt, as previously stated. The story revolves around Trandoshans capturing various Jedi Padawans, including Ahsoka Tano, to hunt for sport on their moon of Waska. They are depicted as barbaric, predatory, cunning, and absolutely ruthless, collecting trophies from their victims and having no regard for the lives of their captives. Interestingly, Transdosha is never named on screen as their home planet. Originally, the episode did not take place on their moon, but the home planet itself to be renamed Dosha. This was presumably a request of Lucas, as Filoni rarely changes names unless absolutely needed. A similar situation occurred in Season 6, with Lucas asking the Sith homeworld's established name of Korriban to be changed to Moraband. Why is that change so important for George Lucas? Because he is an absolute lunatic. One that I adore and admire, but a lunatic nonetheless. But I do love that cultural take of the Trandoshans. These characters that live for the hunt and thrill of the kill. And maybe even not so much the kill, but the hunt itself. Taking us back to the comparison that I'm making of these guys kind of being the predators of the Star Wars universe. Now, for the most part, we've kind of only dealt with this species as a species, but there are some notable members. Of course, Bossk, who is probably the most widely known due to his appearance in Empire Strikes Back, was a Trandoshan bounty hunter active since at least the Clone Wars. Son of Kradosk, he was known for hunting Wookiees. His father was also a bounty hunter. As we all know, Bossk wears a yellow flight suit uniform and flies a ship known as the Houndstooth, which is also a bit on the nose. He was a licensed member of the Bounty Hunters Guild, which has become even more popular in the recent Mandalorian episodes, and noted to take several high-profile jobs, including hunting Jedi Master Mace Windu, alongside fellow bounty hunters Boba Fett, Aurora Singh, and Castus in Clone Wars Season 2, Episodes 20 through 22, Death Trap, R2 Come Home, and Lethal Trackdown. He appeared in a supporting role in several other episodes, observed to work with Asajj Ventress and Latz Ratzi, as well as appearing in The Dark Disciple, taking a job to hold off Count Dooku alongside a team of bounty hunters. During the Age of the Empire, his Republic criminal record was expunged, and he was granted an official peacekeeping certificate. This was done by the Empire primarily as a way to keep Outer Rim planets and criminals in line. But, as we all know, his most notable role is he was hired by Darth Vader to track down the Millennium Falcon and was later seen in the employ of Jabba the Hutt. As for his status post-Return of the Jedi, it's unknown. But he's not the only Trandoshan we become familiar with, and I feel like this is all one big sick joke to make me look like a complete idiot as I try to work through these names. But Ga Nakht, a small, rotund Trandoshan scalper who was killed by Grievous in the Clone Wars Season 1 episode Duel of the Droids. Garmak, the leader of a group of Trandoshans who captured beings to hunt for sport in the Clone Wars, as previously mentioned. Seevor, a small, squirmish Trandoshan who operated a mining guild transport on the planet Lothal in the Star Wars Rebels Season 4 episode Crawler Commandos. Also a fun fact about that, he was voiced by Seth Green. Yep, that Seth Green. And that Seth Green. A group of unnamed Trandoshans worked for the Bounty Hunters Guild 5 years after Return of the Jedi, as seen in the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. They were 3 of many hunters hired to capture the child, or Baby Yoda, and bring him back to the Imperial Remnant. All 3 were killed, attempting to steal the baby from the Mandalorian. Also, I want to go on record and say this. This character has pretty much become known as Baby Yoda, right? I feel like everybody just calls him Baby Yoda now. Often in the show, he's referred to as the child, but in the first episode, he's referred to as the asset, and that is my favorite name for this character so far. Just my opinion on the matter. I think it's cool, I think it's heavy, and I think it's suggestive, but whatever. You can't change pop culture. Not overnight anyway. And now let's talk a little bit about some behind the scenes stuff, if you're kind of a big movie nerd like myself. Bossk's costume was actually a recycled costume from the 1966 Doctor Who serial, The 10th Planet, a famous story in the series in that it featured the first ever regeneration, an ability of the Doctors to change his presence and personality to cheat death. It was actually reused British Royal Air Force high altitude Windac pressure suit, no big deal, used in the 1960s. Its resemblance to the X-Wing flight suit is entirely coincidental, which I found fascinating because I always figured it was just a repurposed, reused Hasbro repaint kind of job of the X-Wing flight suit. Many fans believe a Trandoshan appeared in the Mos Eisley Cantina in A New Hope. This is technically untrue. The species seen is actually a Saurin, a similarly reptilian species and actually a Trandoshan subspecies in Legends. They had more humanoid hands and legs and a less scaly appearance. The Saurin mask was taken and modified for use in The Empire Strikes Back as Bossk. The Trandoshans in Mandalorian have a slightly different design to their faces. Their snout appears shorter and less pronounced, and they have more human-shaped eyes. Many fans have questioned this, and it is worth pointing out Filoni is not one to change or redesign for no reason. When watching the episode, particularly their fight in episode 2, it's clear the Trandoshan actors are not wearing a mask as with Bossk, but actually have heavy makeup and prosthetics applied to their faces. The simple fact is that when you're fighting or trying to emote in any sort of way that actually depicts that emotion on screen, it's next to impossible to do with a mask. Advanced animatronics can be used, as with the Nulti Ugnaught, but these are expensive and complex and would be overly expensive and would probably outprice their significance in such a small role. If Trandoshans appear in a larger or more significant role than a bit part in the future, expect them to look far closer to their established appearance. So that's pretty much all we know about the Trandoshans, a little bit about the legend stuff, everything that we know in canon, and a little bit of behind the scenes stuff. But the Trandoshan history in Star Wars also has some merchandise associated with it, and we'll touch on that briefly as well. The first representation that we all remember is the 1980 Empire Strikes Back Kenner Bossk figure, 3 3/4, with an interesting and unique look amongst his peers anyway, that in my opinion kind of stuck out and became a fan favorite pretty early on. Then we saw the character again in 1997's Power of the Force line, looking all buff, and in the years to come we would get plenty of 3 3/4 Bossk figures from all sorts of representations and series that you could possibly ask for, as well as 2019's Black Series 6-inch repaint, which was a re-release of their previous Black Series attempt. But that's not the only love that Bossk has gotten. He also got a Star Wars Unleashed representation from Hasbro, a Coda Bakia 1/10 representation, 2 of those, I believe. Gentle Giant released a Bossk statue, as well as a smaller scale bust as well. We've also gotten giant Bossk figures, including the 18-inch Jax Pacific representation, a sideshow bust, which is life-size, by the way, for those huge fans. We've had Titanium series, Bosks, and I'm sure it's only a matter of time before we get a Hot Toys. And I've undoubtedly missed some merchandise as well. I have no doubt about that. Oh, there's a Funko Pop. Let me throw that one in there. So a character in a species that has a long and beloved lore within the Star Wars fandom and universe that visually captured our imaginations as kids and has slowly grown to build a solid lore, culture, and mythos around the species and character. Bossk Nova, am I right? Maybe I'm not right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.